wondering exactly how would the budget really, affect us positively. Amaka, I don't know.
Well, when I hear things like this, the first thing that actually comes to mind is most of these things are on paper. Let's just be sincere, right? I mean, last year, lots of people were so excited that a new salary, what is it called? Minimum wage. A new minimum wage has come. And we were excited, but how many of this minimum wage coming really has translated to workers being paid minimum wage? And according to budget, all right, at least 27 states of the Federation would not be able to pay salaries unless they receive allocations from federal government. So that you begin to wonder, really, when states would have to wait to receive allocations before they pay salaries, how much of this minimum wage can they really implement? I recall a former governor said something one time that, he was not elected to pay salaries.
So he was elected to do what?
Well, he was elected for projects.
For projects.
Right? Yeah,
and that brings to mind the reason why there should be, governors should look at a way of having IGR, internally generated revenues, and building industries. For instance, like in our state, if we have more industry, then we'll not be depending on an allocation, because interestingly, Ebonyi is endowed with a whole lot of mineral resources.
Okay, let's move on to the next headline. This one is quite funny. It says, snake, monkey mustn't swallow $1.07 billion health funds. This is coming from Atiku. Atiku warns federal government. The story has it that the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar, has warned the federal government that claims of animals such as snakes, termites, gorillas and monkeys swallowing public funds budgeted for the critical sector of health in the 2025 budget. In a statement on Sunday, Atiku urged President Bola Tinubu's administration to provide transparency on how the intervention fund would be allocated. The former vice president and the PDP presidential aspirant in the 2023 elections has really been, quite active on social media very recently, criticizing this present administration on any policy at all. And I'm saying he should just be coming down, because it's been long we heard news about swallowing.
It's funny. Nigeria, for the public. Sometimes I see Nigeria as a theater of the absurd, because termites now, gorillas, snakes, pythons, all kinds of things swallowing money in Nigeria. But he does have a point there, because we can't continue like this. Every time you make a budget or something is allocated, money is allocated to a ministry or an MDA, you start hearing all kinds of stories. This disappeared or that happened. So, Atiku Abubakar, he does have his points.
But then,
he's in opposition now, so he should be more critical of the government in position. But then, they say he who calls for what? Justice. He must come with what? Clean hands. Exactly,
but,
yes.
When we say some of these things, they might actually seem very funny, but they're not funny at all. He was saying this on the backdrop of the administration of President Tinubu. Initially, a budget for the primary health care was at over $2 billion. Right? And by the way, I'm still wondering why we have to be making our budgets in Naira. Some say it's because, we trade in dollars, right? Excuse me. So we have to make those projections in dollars. But is that not been contributing to this drop in Naira?
The value of our Naira.
In the value of our Naira. But that's a story for another day. But, Atiku was saying this against the backdrop that over $2 billion was budgeted for public health, the public health sector, and then an additional $1 billion budgeted for the same
$1.07 billion.
Exactly.
Dollars.
All right.
That's a whole lot.
If you check it, that's a lot of Naira, really. And we are not seeing this. Have you been to a public health facility in Ebonyi quite recently? You don't. It's how do they say it? As it was in the beginning, it's now and ever shall be. There is nothing at these public health facilities to actually say that such humongous amount of money is being expended
daily.
Nothing to show.
And then what you now hear, it was Jump who said snake
swallowed money.
The other people said
python,
monkey. All right, and maybe this time around we're going to be having termites and crickets. Okay? So even though it sounds funny, but really, I think it's time that our leaders begin to account. I saw something two weeks ago or so that was saying every Nigerian owed 600 and something thousand naira.
And I'm wondering, where did I acquire that debt? How?
Do you understand? So those are the crickets and the monkeys that are swallowing
exactly.
the money.
So how did I acquire, Amaka, please, I don't know. How did I acquire such a debt?
The government acquired it on your behalf.
And it's not even reflecting on me.
So because this money is actually loans and we need to pay them back.
Yeah.
So if we are borrowing, if we are having such amounts, budgeted for certain things, we should be able to spend them judiciously so that when we are paying them back, we know that really we used this money for what they are, not just maybe by now if they owe like 1 million.
And I think the dilapidating state of our health sector is actually the major contributor to the Japa syndrome we're experiencing amongst
the Nigerian medical,
because everybody wants a greener pasture.
Why did you single out medical doctors? If you see this and that, you're not going.
No, well, like Angela said, we're looking at the health sector, and you discover that it's a very key sector in the development of any nation.
And they're paid well.
And they're paid well abroad. So, I mean, why would I stay back where I'm not even valued? You understand? Well, it's neither here nor there.
Okay, to the last headline on Punch this morning. 12-year basic education. Federal government meets NUT principals Wednesday. The proposal by the Minister of Education, Mr. Tunji Alausa, which aims to extend basic education to 12 years by integrating junior and senior secondary education into a single continuous program, has sparked mixed reactions among education stakeholders, with calls for careful deliberation before any decision is made. To me, I think there are so many other, critical issues to really focus on instead of looking at extending the basic education to 12 years. We're looking at allowances of teachers. We're looking at the dilapidated structures in our public schools and a whole lot of things. I don't know if I don't know how this is going to help actually in our education sector.
For me, I'm looking at it like carrying 10 fingers and putting it in your mouth at the same time, because so many things are still wrong with our education system. The JSS, the 334 system that was started has not, in fact, up to now, a lot of people have not even comprehended it. And then you want to jump to another system of, there's a 12-4 system or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know how they intend to achieve results with things like that. Okay, now we have these thinkers, you project, and then you just come out with these policy statements that are not even viable yet, looking at our level of development. And what are those things you have put in place? What are the critical materials that have been put in place in some of these institutions that can aid, in a way that we will see the physical developments and achievements or impact it will have on the people? That is not there. You just come out and you make these statements, and then we are not being carried along. People, there is no enlightenment, there's no sensitization. People don't even understand what you're talking about, not even the teachers themselves. And then you come out. So for me, I think this is not what we should be looking at now, but let's have a holistic view of our educational system. What are those areas that we need to revamp? What are the things we need to drop? What are the things we need to go on with? So for me, I don't think is the right time for this, personally.
Nothing else to add.
Okay, with that headline from The Punch, we'll move to the Daily Post newspaper. With this headline, proposal for 31 new states divides Nigerians. Since Thursday, February 6th, when the House of Representatives announced the receipt of proposals for the creation of 31 new states in Nigeria, in the ongoing review of the 1999 Constitution as amended, there have been so many reactions from Nigerians. The reactions cut across all ages, religion, ethnicity, and profession, ranging from regional bodies to professionals and individuals. Some Nigerians have kicked against the move, arguing that what the leadership of the country should be thinking of is how to return the country to regionalism and not how to create more states? Laura.
Amaka, I think you
31 new states plus the 36 we have already. That's how many states?
You know,
It's even more than the states we have in the United States of America.
I think he was on.
That should be more than
I think it was on Friday that story broke. And you know, the amazing thing was I was sleeping, and then I now woke up, picked my phone, and the first thing I saw was that, and I had to keep the phone down a bit, go back to sleep, and come back again. Yeah, just to be very sure that that was not real. So if we have 36 states plus 31, that would be
64.
No, 67 actually.
67, right?
Okay, we have 36.
Yeah, then plus FCT.
That's 68.
Right? That would be 68. You know, And you know what came to my mind was 31 states. Are these members of the Honorable House? You know, a mistake, as we would say, really, because why do we need an additional 31? I'm glad you brought that story about minimum wage. And we know that many states already cannot afford to pay. And we also know that about 27 states will need to wait for Abuja to send allocations before they pay. And I'm thinking if we have 100 and something members of, I think it's 108 or so members of House of Rep, all right, currently as it stands, then do an additional 3 times 31. That would give you 63, right? Yes. So we'll add it to that one. We'll be having almost 200 people that will pay to just go and sit in Abuja and really do close to nothing, all right? And then we'll have states now that will now come. The money that we do not have, we'll now break it down to have 1,000 SAs. Exactly. Commissioners will be like 50. And at the end of the day, you come in and see that these people are not really doing anything.
And you're spending so much on governance.
But what the good thing was that the House of Rep came out to say that, I think that's Benjamin Kalu.
Benjamin Kalu,
to say that, you see that proposal, it wouldn't hold. Why? Because they've not met the requirements.
The constitutional requirements.
The constitutional requirements to actually go ahead and create. To thoughts of the members of the House would have to agree that there is a need for this, and it would have to be put to a vote at a public sitting where 2/3 of the population from where the state is coming out would agree there is a need for that. And we've not had that yet. And Professor Mike Ozekome, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria, has come out to say, sincerely speaking, the only thing we need is just one more state for Southeast to equal it. Because if you would take it from the way they analyzed it, Southeast will still be behind. We are having like additional 6 states for the North. And the breakdown was just crazy. Really.
I think I also I agree with you. And also with the body judge when he said that what we should be looking at is true federalism, not talking about creation of more states. Let's look at, if we are going back to regionalism, fine. But if we actually apply to federalism, it should take care of every other concerns that each of these regions are having, and not by creating more states. It's not even going to, translate to bringing down governance to the grassroots. Because as it is now, we're actually rooted, but we're not achieving anything. So there isn't much. There's nothing to be done. So additional 31 states.
At the problems from the region or at the regional level. I think the President Bola Tinubu has actually done well in that area, in that regard. Recently, he commissioned the Southeast Development Commission.
Well, commissioning, Angela, does not translate. We have not seen anything yet. It's just like a baby. We have not seen anything yet until we see a physical manifestation, how people are beginning to benefit from it. Then before we can now say, yes, President Tinubu has done well. But right now, yes, he has created those commissions. But, it's just like last month or last week or thereabouts. So we have not seen.
Actually been on ground.
It's been on, yes, but the policy statement has been made. So let's see it translate to physical things that we can relate to.
When Angela even said that, you know what came to my mind really? NDDC has been in existence for how long?
For how long?
And I was fortunate to spend at least 4 years in Rivers State, really. I didn't really see.
Amaka.
I didn't really see anything.
Angela.
I mean, I don't understand.
Okay, moving on, still on the Daily Post newspaper, we have this headline, Soludo rebacked federal government rice shared to APGA members at Christmas. Anambra APC alleges. The All Progressive Congress APC in Anambra State has protested the dominance of the Chukwuma Soludo-led All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, in the affairs of the President Bola Tinubu-led federal government. The party chairman in the state, Mr. Basil AGDK, while speaking at the weekend, said the dominance of Soludo in affairs that concern Anambra, even at the federal level, has become a challenge to the state chapter of the APC. But he's doing what he should do. I mean, Anambra State is APGA. So APGA is the ruling party in Anambra State. So
APC was criticized. For me, the question that comes to mind is, why did he rebag those, if he did? Could it be because perhaps they wanted more people to have access to the rice? Maybe it was 50 kg and they want to say 25 kg.
Is the fact that all appointments coming to Anambra from the federal government have nominees from APGA. So
so the rice too has nominees from APGA.
All-inclusive, governance, bringing people from other political parties.
I think that is funny.
Okay, and then to the last newspaper this morning, Vanguard newspaper, we have this headline, Energy expert urges Tinubu to end petrol imports, prioritize local refining. Energy expert Dan Kunle has warned that the continued importation of petrol and diesel from the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC Limited, and certain marketers, despite the Dangote Petroleum Refinery capacity to meet domestic demand, is a disservice to the country. The recent report indicates that NNPC oil marketers spent 5.5 trillion naira on petrol, diesel importation in 4 months. We've always been saying that since when it was announced that Dangote Refinery will soon be up, many Nigerians were happy, glad that at least there is hope for us when it comes to the issue of a hike in fuel price and all that. But quite unfortunate. I don't know.
I think they're still playing politics.
So many drama going on in that sector with the cabals holding
sway. But I think really, as much as we are laughing about it, but it's not a laughing matter, because when you look at the LNG that is being generated from Nigeria, and yet we cannot even access any of the things. We are still importing. So, and our pipelines run through to Niger, to other countries. And in Nigeria, we don't have this gas at our disposal. So I'm beginning to wonder what exactly are we just keep going around in circles. So I think that what they're saying there is true. We should look into that. We should actually look into that too. Let's bring these things back home. For crying out loud, you can't be inside water and as they will say it in Igbo language.
We have the
you understand?
Oil.
We have everything.
We get it, we export it,
and then we bring it back.
Buy it back with in hard currency. It doesn't really.
And the Dangote refinery thing, I don't know. I strongly still believe that politics is still being played, because I don't see how when we have the refinery that we say could even feed outside the nation, and still we are buying at a high rate. I've not really seen the impact of the Dangote refinery, honestly, because it does not reflect when I go to buy fuel at the filling station. So for me, more needs to be done. Amaka.
I don't know. I really do not know so much about, petroleum, the company, the refining, the business around it. But I do just know that when I read stories about, what those local refineries are doing and how government destroys them, I am baffled, because if these guys can refine, one time ago we had this video of where they destroyed about 1,000 of them in Port Harcourt. And I was just wondering, why destroy them? Now, if those people have gotten to that point where they are able to tap into our pipelines, steal crude, refine them, and people use them, is it not left for government to find a way to synergize with these people so that we can have this in abundance? Because if we remove, why is this lucrative is because of how much the cost involved. Okay, do not forget that we also supply this fuel to other countries outside Nigeria. So if we have those people who are illegally refining this, why not we work with them and find a way of, making it profitable for everyone? Now, if we have local refiners come in legally, what it would mean is that the cost of production would come down, really.
But the catch-20 there is that those with the local, who have the capacity to refine this locally, are those with the oil wells.
The cabals.
And they're not
no. I do not agree with that. See, I live in Port Harcourt, right? And most communities, in fact, virtually, okay, there are things you do not say on air, right? But then you find out that the people who are involved in these local refineries are not those ones with the oil wealth, as we speak, really. Young people already know the science of doing these things. And that's why in Port Harcourt, as in Abakaliki right now, if your house is dusty and you use something to wipe the dust, it is dust. In Port Harcourt, it is black soot. Because everyone, some household like this, they do the thing and it works for them and they use it. All right? So why can't we have these people come together? It's just like when you say that the people who steal electricity cables are the ogas. No? Even some small boys around already know. We've been seeing people do this, so we now know how to work on it.
Anyway, let's not go there.
No, but sincerely, I think the government needs to work with these guys who are into illegal refining, so that we'll find a way to do this, so that Nigerians can. It's not easy. This morning we bought fuel 1,040 naira per liter. That was 10 liters plus before, if not more. At least I met fuel when it was 70 naira. Okay, so when it was 70 naira, that's 700 is 1 liter. It's 10 liters, right? The other 300 will buy you almost 5. So we need to do something about that.
Some years back, you make it sound as if some centuries ago, but these are things that we're looking at in the last 3 years. Where we are today. It's crazy.
It's really crazy. Okay, and then the last headline this morning, which is actually coming from the Vanguard newspaper, Nigeria Police Force denies return of SARS. There have been rumors that they're bringing back SARS, and they're denying it. We just hope that it's just rumor. It just stopped at being a rumor.
Well, since it's still a rumor, let's leave it at that it's still a rumor until we see.
No, the only thing is that, well, even though it's a rumor and SARS might have gone, who says we do not have SARS rebranded or renamed?
There's something called, I think, metamorphosis. I hope I got this.
I don't know. I'm not around.
Okay, I think this is where we draw the curtain on the segment from the newspaper headlines. Yes.
Thank you so very much,
my
Angela.
My name, once again, is Angela.
Thank you, but you're yet to actually give us the venue.
Of the birthday party, right? Okay, that should be right after the time out.
All right, guys, so this is it on the newspaper, on the headlines, newspaper headlines on Sunrise. We're going to be taking a break now, and when we return, we'll have Loveth on the gossip segment with What's Trending.
She likes gossip. glad to have you back. And this is that segment where we talk about, all the nitty-gritties of what is happening. And, the small gossip, like katafo, when we do. And, here we have this beautiful lady that has stuck in trade. Just the correct gossip or not gossip. So we want to welcome Loveth Onyebuchi with the gossip segment.
Hi. You can imagine. Of all the names, gossip, like kind of.
I was beginning to wonder if you have a prior engagement with. I don't understand. Hold on, Laura, hold on. Because from what you're saying now, I would want to believe that all the gossip going around, it's.
No, if you want to hear what is happening, in the country, outside the country.
Okay. Now I'm beginning to align with you, kind of.
Which musician do this one? Who don't do that one? Please.
Okay, let me make it clear. This is where I want to actually accept and align with her on this. Yeah?
Okay, but by the way, Loveth looks amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm blushing.
I am beginning to anticipate 14.
Well,
On her
maybe
behalf.
you want to know, just as part of the gossip, it is actually my husband's birth month, and it's Valentine month, and I want to start now.
Please, I know that. Is still not.
All right. All right. Good morning, beautiful people. I'm glad to have you join us this morning on the gossip segment of Sunrise on Soul TV. My name is Loveth Onyebuchi, like you've known.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Amaka, hi, Zumejiba. All right. So I will talk about that behind the camera. I want to actually start with what I think I want to give kudos to the governor of Anambra State in respect to what he's doing in the state with security. And I want to also say something before I move further, that anytime crime tarries, I want to believe that, this is my personal opinion, I don't know, but it is my opinion and my belief that anytime crime tarries in a state, wherever, that the government should, the government have a question or some questions to answer. Because I feel that they have the right answer to the question.
A former head of state said
crime.
something. He says, if crisis escalates and endures beyond 2 days in a state, you need to ask those in power. They know what's happening.
Because Anambra, there has been so much insecurity and unrest all these years. Like, I think it's more than 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. And now the governor came up with this idea of a security outfit tagged Agone Chamber. And since these guys came on board, I mean, it's every day. Do I say before 24 hours, arrests will be made like 2, 3, 4 times. And I've been wondering, where has government been all these years that they kept quiet? A lot of souls has been lost, I want to say my prayers to the people that lost people, all these years. But I want to tell you that those guys are really up with something. I don't know. And I believe that for us to get it right, there has to be an action. And one thing I want to say here is that for people to also know that the people that have actually wrongly accused my Ebonyi brothers and sisters to actually be in the business of kidnapping and maiming and killing people there in Anambra State, to come out more and tender their apology. Yeah. Because, what's his name, the Bemonsa, he has actually tendered the public apology in respect to that. And so far, so good. We have just 2 Ebonyans that are yet to be identified, because someone even came out and said that, like, I think that's Maria, the Afikpo woman. What's her name? Best chick ever lived, Maria Udenwachi. She came out and she brought out, she placed a ransom. Anyone that knows exactly where the girl who is said to be from Afikpo should come out and identify her place and where she is coming from, and that way that she's going to reward the person handsomely. So what do you have to say, Amaka? Do you think that Ebonyans are really, they should be angry, or they should demand for compensation and not just an apology?
Okay, so the truth of the matter is that no one loves being called a bad name, especially if it's something you're not doing, right? And you know how they say you shouldn't give a dog a bad name just because you want to hang it, right? So if there are accusations that Ebonyi people are doing this, those are serious and weighty matters. If there are people who are involved in crime, we need to identify them, do thorough investigations and identify them. You know, I do not even like this issue of when a crime happens, we begin to say, oh, it must be an Igbo person, it must be a Yoruba person, it must be an Anambra person who has done this. I think that is quite wrong. A crime is a crime, except in cases where they really matter. Should we really be concerned about where this person who has committed this crime is from, right? I think we should be, it's also the same thing that we see that happens in government. We say, no, it has to be someone from my place. And that's why we see things are not working. I think if a crime has been committed, proper investigation should be done. That's also what happens when people do media trials. Something has happened without even knowing it. It's all over on the social media page. We are calling people names and all of that. You just find out that, you know, it tends to derail the investigation. Now, so what I'm saying in essence is, if Ebonyi people are being wrongly accused, there should be an apology to say, oh, we are sorry, this is a wrong accusation. But then we should be more focused on arresting criminals, getting them and taking, you know, conducting thorough investigation. And everyone who is in the wrong should be punished. There should be punishment. Someone said,
irrespective of where you are coming from.
Irrespective of where you're coming from, irrespective of who is your godfather or godmother or godbaby. People should be made to answer for their crimes. Let's give more importance to the important things and less importance to the less important things like nationality, origin, ethnicity, and all.
No, but I still think that there is a need for us to emphasize on this name tagging and stigmatization. Because it's easy to say somebody has done this wrongly, but it's not easy to retrieve it back.
When the narrative has been pushed out.
So it is equally important that before you open your mouth to say, this person did this to me, you're very sure it is evidence-based. These days we are in an era where whatever you do or say has to be evidence-based, because if you don't have evidence, you can be sued. Okay, we want to say, all right, let's forgive and forget, but then you have...
The dent has been made.
My character. It's character assassination. Personally, as an Ebonyi, I take exception to being called names, especially in things you didn't do. You understand?
Okay.
So I think that too should be taken
And
into cognizance.
that also reminds me that that name calling, that tag, when you go to Anambra State, of course, I happen to be one Diana there. My mom is from Anambra State, so I go there, I sleep, and I understand what it means to be stigmatized or to be segregated. Like, to the extent that if you want to get a house, they want to know where you are coming from. But luckily for me, I have somebody from Ebonyi State who is staying in my grandfather's house as a tenant. But then most landlords in Anambra State, they don't give room. Once you say, in fact, it got to a point where someone has paid the rent, transferred through the lawyer and all that. When immediately the man got to know that this person is from Ebonyi State, he said immediately, he instructed the lawyer to do a refund immediately. So you can imagine the damage. So that's why we should be particular in what people accuse you of. And people should be, like you said, come up with concrete evidence before they make accusations and tag people, you know, with bad names and all of that. Okay, so let's even move away from the security issue to the societal madness, I want to call, that has been happening. And before I said that, I want to as well charge parents, because our parents seems to be sleeping these days. You know, because of the economic revolution, formerly women used to stay at home to nurse children. But thank God I wasn't part of that. Because I wouldn't have stayed there. But all the same, in as much as we are doing so well to make ends meet, to ensure that these kids are properly taken care of financially, we should as well pay more attention to their behaviors, manners, and try to instill good manners and then the right things into them. There is something happened recently, and it happened that Akwa Ibom, where the state police command detained a 10-year-old boy. In fact, this morning they are going to court because he defiled a 3-year-old girl. So you can imagine the decay we have in our society today, where a 10-year-old boy, let me use the word raped, because the file seems to be soft, probably because he's a minor, but then raped a 3-year-old girl. And this thing I'm telling you happens in our families. It's not like strangers do this thing. You can see a baby boy and a baby girl, the same mother, in the same family, trying to practice what daddy and mommy does. Probably because they see it on the media, or they see their parents act it out. You can't have children in one room as a one-room occupant, and you have 10 children, and you think that they will all be sleeping at night, and then you want to banshee. It's not possible, man. So, so you can imagine, it's crazy, and that's the level of decay we have today.
You know, when parents, I keep saying it, yeah, because of the economic situation we are in, and this is also an information age, where what we knew growing up, our children now know far, far, far better than us. So parents now should know that when they want to do twe-twe, they should know that, man, these children are there. Because sometimes, I don't know where a 10-year-old would have gotten the knowledge
to even know how to insert and how to, you know, it's crazy. It's actually difficult to talk about, and it's actually a message we want to pass across to parents. What's your addition to it?
Well, I don't know, really. I don't know. It's insane. Okay. It's just a call for everyone who is the parents, the teachers, because these things also happen in schools. The older siblings, everyone who is a caregiver needs to live up to their responsibility. Okay, I'm not saying mothers shouldn't work. Okay, but what I'm saying is that we need to realize that our first responsibility is to our husband and our children. And it's sad too when you see fathers leave the whole responsibility of upbringing to the mother. You know, so it should be, it's a joint thing. There is a reason why God made parents too. So they should actually, sincerely, I don't know how to say that a 10-year-old abused a 3-year-old. It's insane. And, you know, there's been that debate about what time parents need to start sex education. And some people are saying you leave it until they're in primary school or until they get to secondary school. My children the last of my children are 3, and they already know that no one should actually touch their private parts. And this thing that we do not call them by their names is terrible as well. So I give them the names. So this is your breast, this is your butt, and all of that. So they know the proper names. Yeah. And I say this is a part of your body. It's clean, but no one should touch it. All right. When we send house boys or younger boys and say, go and bath your sister. No, I had to bathe my daughter myself or another female in the house. But that's not to say that women do not abuse women. I'm just saying that we need to be more careful. And teach these children. My son will come and say, Mommy, do you know that Myla touched my breast in school? And I'm like, what did you do to your brother? Oh, yeah, come here. You know, I talk to them. The fact that they are siblings it's not right for you to touch. It is private for a reason. And that's also why I do not also dress up my daughter in revealing outfits. They say, Yusuf, you to do. She's just 3. I know, but it starts now. You start to give them the proper orientation. It's really sad, and I don't know how they're going to handle this particular one because of the age of the people involved.
And of course, he has to be remanded. That's why the police has taken the issue to the court.
But they should be careful where they remand him so he doesn't go in and come out worse.
I think that's even why our correctional centers should do better. A lot of trainings, rehabilitation. It should be a rehabilitation center if we know what we want to achieve when we want to punish offenders. Okay, so can we shortly talk about the the wedding of one of us. Okay, before we even got to that.
I thought you were going to tell us about Akwa.
Before we get to that, that's why I said before we get to that I want to bring this gist of one of the Almighty. I don't want to use the word Almighty because it's only God that is Almighty. Let's talk about the mighty Dibia and charm maker and whatever name you want to call him, whatever. But then he's on the run, and he's no other person than Akwa Tiwarake himself. You know, the Okite.
Please excuse you. If you want to address that young man, call him properly.
Okay, please help me. All right,
so you want to call him properly, please.
All right, so talking about Nkembo Nambo. All right, so talking about Akwa Okoko, who has acclaimed himself to be a successful dibia and one that cannot be trapped. Because it's surprising that Agone Chamber can actually put him on the run. Yeah, in fact, if he has wings to fly, he would have fled. But I wonder why he has not disappeared. Because he can actually make charms for people to disappear and reappear and get away with all the nonsense they can do. So if he can actually deny his Okite, because from the report so far, he said he has nothing. The guy said he has nothing to do with Okite. Yes, he said it.
He said it was, and you know what makes it even more credible is because the Okite was not posted on his handle. This guy, Barrister Joffo, I think he's also the same barrister for Nnamdi Kanu, was even defending him. That the arrest is illegal and all of that. After all, he did not post this thing himself, so why should they? They should do a thorough investigation. That this is an abuse of human rights.
Well, you know, in law they say the law is blind, and then is an alleged until proven guilty. Until you prove that he actually did that. So based on that, lawyer will define anybody.
That's his job. He has to be paid. But why I'm surprised is why he has to deny, you know, his profession, his calling.
That's what I was going to say. Number one, all right, we need to draw the line between culture,
okay,
and wrongdoing, okay, because I saw someone on social media where someone was saying, traditionalists now,
he has the right to that worship,
right? And the Constitution actually gives him the right to do, to practice whatever religion he
wants. That's why they say so that they monitor and
define
exactly what you're doing.
It's nice that saying come and be registered. And then we also need to find a way and regulate social media. We were here now, all of us there here, when Simon Ekpa was doing everything he was doing. And when they caught him, the guy said he was creating content.
Yes.
Have you not seen where a native doctor prepared charm so that if they shoot someone, he will not die?
Well, that is a very dangerous content.
We need to. We need to regulate some of those things, and we need to be, to be more alive to the things that we allow to fester in the society. While Ejiofor was defending him, he said Akwa Okoko was very clear that anyone who doesn't have a legit source of income should not come to him. These are the things that we are defending, really. When people say, come on, I'll give you a charm to make money, like how people say they receive miracle credit a lot. You know, you do not have money and money just pops in. So we need to be aware. We need to be conscious as a society of the things that we allow, who even made Akwa Okoko popular. It's you and I who watch him, and then we share to some other person and say, this is this. Are you saying that they've not been seeing this before now? So we need to be aware of the things that we allow to develop and to fester in the society.
Especially in this time of social media.
To just end that Akwa Okoko thing, thank God he's been caught or he's been arrested.
But previously he was kidnapped. I think that there was a time sometime last year he was kidnapped and then ransom was paid and he was released.
No, I'm rich. Your person was still going to him.
So,
he did not disappear when he was kidnapped.
So I think that was where his problem started. That was where his problem started.
It could be that the kidnappers wanted him to make charm for them to prosper. I think that's the point.
Okay, so they needed to kidnap him so that he can make the child?
Exactly, but on a more serious note now, all right, this is where my issue is really. This media trial. Investigations have not been done, and he's already on the media. Remember Evans? Did anybody hear any other thing about Evans? You know, when we make some of this seemingly breakthrough in crime fighting, before we see it to a conclusion, it's all over
the social media.
Starts coming in,
and that is why I say this is information age. There is but so much you can do to hide information from people. People go digging. Investigative journalists, they do social media content creators.
It is the lawmakers. It is the security agencies who actually
but
make videos.
But there's the Information
Rights
Act.
No, hold on. Did you see that video last week? See, if I have to do something and I'm saying, please, no cameras allowed, how would you know? There was a video last week about the raid conducted by Agunechemba. It's on someone's social media. The Agunechemba guys were actually making videos.
Yeah, even
even one DPO who was interviewing at Kwakoko, someone was right there.
Yeah. But there's no way.
The Information Rights Act gives you a right to ask questions. You understand? And
does it also give you the right to make videos?
Excuse me, Amaka, but if you come to me to
concluded?
ask me certain questions and I say I cannot provide you with that information, and please, you cannot record this. And if you go out there and you record it, I have a right to redress.
I think that's the same thing Amaka wants.
Yes,
making known.
We have a right to redress because. Hello, you cannot.
The last thing I heard about Evan, the last thing I read about him last week was that I think they want to make him crime ambassador of something against crime. So, but that's by the way. Anyway, this is just to tell us. This is just to tell us that it's better you do the right thing. There, no prayers will deliver you until you take the right step. Even God, you cannot be in crime and be praying. Someone said they went to steal, and they were before you go to steal, they came to. Okay, I heard a story that armed robbers visited a pastor. They went to his bathroom after the robbery and all the things. They took their bath and they used the anointing oil on themselves and asked God for mercy. You know, it's actually a mockery. But then you are making mockery of yourself. The best thing for you to do is just to stay out of crime. No DBA will help you. No DBA will help you. Just do the right thing. Take the right step. Get a legitimate source of income where, in fact, people don't know that when you steal from somebody, it's actually blood money. That's how I see blood money. It's not about killing off, cutting off somebody's head, or immediately you take somebody's sweat, something forcefully out of somebody after a lot of suffering and all of that. You've actually committed ogwego. So that's blood money for me, and that's my own definition. Anyway, this is where I want to stop our gossip today as we wait for the next day. But before we go,
thank you so very much, gossiper of the year. Gossiper is an old English, right?
Yeah.
Gossip of the year.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so
you didn't tell us if you traveled to Tanzania.
Yeah, I'll bring that on. I want to hold it so that you don't dive into it because we are waiting for the wedding. Yeah, the nikah has happened, and it happened at Tanzania. But okay, you don't know. Well, we are talking about the nikah, that is the Islamic wedding, the Muslim Islamic wedding of Iyabo Ojo's daughter, and that is Prissy Ojo, and her Tanzanian lover, Jukes. And he's actually a superstar and has won many awards for himself and all of that. He does well for himself there.
I thought you were going to reserve this.
Yeah, I wanted to reserve it, but let me talk about the nikah since it has happened, and then let's wait for the wedding because it's like 4 wedding ceremonies, and you know now. So that one, they were bringing it down to Nigeria, where I am going to be well seated to get you all the gist. All right, so I beg to take my leave. My name is Love Esenyebuchi. Yes.
Thank you so very much, and that's where we'll call it a wrap on today's episode of Sunrise. Thank you so very much. We had lots of fun with you. My name is Amaka Izuchukwu, and enjoy a beautiful week of love.
And I also want to say many, many thanks for being with us. And you know, when I told you that love it when it comes to Boboru,
give it to me.
So she did well. We want to say very big thanks. Till we call your way next time. Many thanks. I am Laura Amanze.